Have you felt it lately? You know, that sense that the world is just more on edge than it's been in a really long time? Well, you're not wrong. The U.S. intelligence community just dropped its 2025 Global Threat Assessment, and it pretty much confirms what we're all feeling. We are in a vastly more complex and, frankly, dangerous security environment. So let's break down what that assessment actually says and why it matters to you.
So what's the deal? Why is the United States on such high alert right now? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a whole bunch of different threats from all over the world that are starting to feed off each other. And now they're having an impact right here at home. In this explainer, we're going to dig into the official take on all of this.
Okay, so to get a handle on just how serious things are, we first need to talk about something called DEFCON. You've probably heard it in movies. It stands for Defense Readiness Condition, and it's basically a 5-level scale the U.S. military uses. Level 5 is just normal, everyday peacetime. Level 1? That means nuclear war could be right around the corner. It's a pretty direct way of signaling how tense the global situation really is. And where are we right now? Well, the publicly reported level is 3. So what does that mean? It means our military forces are at an increased level of readiness, a step above normal. Now, this isn't a head-for-the-bunker situation, but it is a crystal-clear sign that the U.S. military is on a heightened watch because of very real tensions around the world.
So what's the main thing driving all this tension? According to the U.S. intelligence community, there's a primary pacing threat. Now, that's some serious jargon, but all it means is there's one country whose military and tech are advancing so fast, it's forcing everyone else to scramble to keep up. And right now, that nation is China.
And look, this isn't just someone's opinion. This is a direct quote from that 2025 Annual Threat Assessment. It says it right there in black and white. And the key word here is comprehensive. It's not just about the size of their military. It's everything. Their economy, their cyber capabilities, you name it. And they have a very clear goal, to become a world-class military by the year 2049.
And this isn't just talk or some far-off plan. It's happening right now. We're seeing things like the Fujian, a super advanced aircraft carrier hitting the seas. We're seeing new hypersonic missiles that are almost impossible to defend against. And then there's the cyber stuff, operations like Volt Typhoon, where malicious code has allegedly been hidden inside critical U.S. infrastructure. We're talking power grids, communications, the works. And all of this is happening as Beijing keeps putting more and more pressure on Taiwan.
This whole situation is so serious that some analysts, like the ones over at the Heritage Foundation, are actually looking back in the history books for answers. Right before World War II, the U.S. Army ran these huge exercises called the Louisiana Maneuvers to figure out how to use new tech like tanks. And the argument today is that we might need to do something similar, these massive, realistic exercises to get ready for a potential high-tech war with a competitor like China.
But here's the thing, it's not just about China acting on its own. The threat assessment points to something much bigger, a whole network of adversaries who are starting to work together. They're realizing they're stronger together, and that changes the entire game.
First up, you've got Russia. You'd think, after the staggering losses they've taken in Ukraine, they'd be on the ropes. But they've been surprisingly resilient. Their most critical assets, their nuclear weapons, their air force, their navy, are still very much intact. And with help from their allies, their defense industry is managing to keep their war machine going.
Then there's Iran. Their strategy is all about projecting power using what they call the axis of resistance. It's this network of proxy militias and allied groups across the Middle East. You combine that with the biggest, most advanced arsenal of missiles and drones in the entire region, and you can see why there are reports that the U.S. military is actively preparing for a potential sustained conflict.
And of course, you can't forget North Korea. According to the Defense Intelligence Agency, Pyongyang is actually in its strongest strategic position in decades. Now, why is that? It's a combination of their own advancing nuclear weapons program and their new, very deep military partnership with Russia. That partnership gives them a kind of leverage on the world stage they just haven't had before.
Okay, so this is the crucial part, how these countries are all helping each other out. This chart really lays it all bare. You can see China sending Russia so-called dual-use materials, basically stuff like microchips that can be used in a washing machine or a missile. You see Iran shipping military drones to Russia for the war in Ukraine. North Korea is sending tons of artillery and missiles, and maybe even troops. And what are they getting back? Well, Russia is giving Iran advanced military and technical help. It's a web of cooperation that makes every single one of them a bigger threat. Okay, so we've got all this big picture geopolitical stuff happening. But how does that actually affect life here in the U.S.? Well, the threat assessment draws a very direct line from all this global chaos to our own domestic security, especially at the southern border. Just look at this number. It's absolutely heartbreaking. In the 12 months ending last October, over 52,000 Americans died from synthetic opioids. And the intelligence community says the trafficking of these deadly drugs is largely run by transnational criminal organizations, cartels, that are operating across the border.
So, this situation was eventually framed as a direct attack on American sovereignty. This quote from the White House back in January 2025 really spells out the official reasoning for taking some pretty drastic measures. It defines the border situation as a full-blown national security crisis.
And the result of that framing? A national emergency was declared. According to the official documents, this was done specifically to give the Department of Homeland Security the resources it needed to gain operational control of the southern border.
So, did it have an effect? Well, according to the threat assessment, it was a big one. After that surge in security enforcement, U.S. Border Patrol apprehensions reportedly dropped by 85% in January 2025 compared to the same month the year before.
All right, let's cool the camera back out. We've looked at the individual threats, we've seen the impact at home. So what's the big idea? What's the one thing we really need to take away from all of this? What is the new reality we're all living in?
The entire basis for this explainer is the document you're looking at right here, the 2025 Annual Threat Assessment. And remember, this isn't just one agency's hot take. This is the coordinated, combined evaluation from the entire U.S. intelligence community. We're talking the CIA, the NSA, all of them. And the picture they paint together is a pretty sobering one. If you're going to remember one sentence from this entire report, it's this one. The key is that these threats reinforce each other. It's about synergy. The real danger isn't just one country doing one thing over here. It's the way all these different threats are now connecting and feeding each other, creating a security situation that is just fundamentally different and way more dangerous than what we faced before.
Let me put it as plainly as I can. This is the big takeaway. The days of thinking about China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea as separate problems are over. They are not isolated challenges anymore. The way they're cooperating, militarily, economically, you name it, has completely changed the rules of the game.
And that leaves us with one last, really big question. If our adversaries are working together, sharing weapons, and coordinating their moves to undermine U.S. interests, then what does being prepared even mean anymore? Figuring that out is the defining challenge of our time.